Today we are going to use the stability ball. So for most of us, unless you're a little tiny person that's less than 5 foot, your size for the stability ball is going to be about a 65 inch. And you want to make sure that it's not too squatty because then it's harder to get up and down, and it also it's got a little bit too much give on it. Mine probably needs a little bit of air, but make sure yours is nice and blown up. I'll make do with this. Okay, ready? We're going to get going. So in the stability ball workout, we're going to focus a lot on the core, and then of course we'll work out and use a little bit of the periphery, the arms and the legs as well. So there's going to be a few exercises that I'm going to ask you to slow down and just tune in to the body and notice what you're feeling. And you'll notice a little bit of a challenge there in the stabilizers. So sometimes we just have to slow down to get them to kick in first before we move on to the bigger complex moves. So first thing we're going to do is when I sit on the stability ball, the first thing I think about is my tailbone going straight down through the ball to the floor, right on the mat, and it's got a little anchor in it. So it's like dropping a line from my tailbone through this ball and anchoring me down onto the mat. And then I'm going to roll my shoulders back and lengthen the crown of the head up to the ceiling. So we have this stretch out of the spine. Remember, I tell you to kind of visualize that you've got puffy discs all along those vertebrae or all in between those vertebrae, and you want those to inflate, those nice little cushiony discs, and let the shoulders roll down and back. Let the rib cage stay set right on top of the hip bones. So some of us get into this position where our ribs come out a little bit, and we want to bring them back, and you'll feel that right in here in your friends, the obliques. Okay, so let's go ahead and just start to move our arms here. We're going to do a little bit of mobility work out of the arms. And just a little tip here, the wider your feet, the more stable you're going to be. And so keep that in mind because I'm going to move them in a little bit more as we work. So I want to challenge you that way. Let's go one more circle this direction, and then we go back the opposite way. So stirring those arms. Yes, we're working those shoulders. My left one's still a little bit of twitchy in between there. Keep that neck long. 2 and 1. Good. Now, like I told you, we're going to bring those feet in a little bit. So heels are going to connect, big toes are going to connect, knees are going to connect as much as possible. Stay setting straight up there, ribs stacked on top of your hips. And let's do that again and just notice how that just gets a little bit harder. You might want to slow those arms down so that you're not swinging them around because that'll throw you off a little bit. And as you do this, just notice what muscles have to engage to keep you from rocking side to side. Yes, this tells us a lot about the front and the back and the right and the left of our body and how balanced those 4 directions are. I'm reversing my circle now. Pilates breath, Pilates posture, shoulders down and back. Good, grounding those heels, and you can see just a little bit of wiggle there in my hips and knees, so I'm trying to keep my knees forward. Let's go 2 more. And last one. Perfect. Okay, arms are going to just rest out to the side, and you can even hold your ball just right in between those palms. And what I'm going to ask you to do is just roll your right heel up off the floor. So you're just lifting a tiny little bit, and watch what happens to those hips. What you want to have happen is that your pelvis stays like this and you don't kick this left hip bone out. So now that I did that, try to get back. Good. And then lower that right heel. Keep those knees and ankles as close together as you can, making allowances for your own body shape. And then lift that left heel up. Knit those ribs in and down. And then we lower that heel. Good. And what did you notice? Did you feel any shifting? Okay, now we're going to take it up a notch. So we go back to that right heel, shoulders down and back, and we're going to lift that foot up off the floor without leaning backwards. So none of this. And try to keep those hip bones straight up and down. So as I anchored my tailbone, I also anchored my sit bones, one on each side, so they don't go that way and they don't go this way. Feel that? Lower that foot. And all the way back down to the heel. Let's go to the left side. So we roll up to the ball of the foot, and then keeping those obliques nice and strong, lift that knee up in the air. So the pelvis stays neutral, it doesn't kick out to the side here. Okay, that was a no, this is a yes. Ah! Okay, lower that foot back down. Let's take it a little bit quicker now. So shoulders down and back. We lift the right knee, lower, lift the left knee, lower. Take your time though. Right knee and left knee. One more time, right knee lifts. Keep that chest up, left knee lifts. Good. All right, guys. Now we're actually going to do the opposite of what I just asked you to do. So I was trying to tell you not to let those hips swing out, but now I do want to mobilize them. So I'm just going to let you kind of swing those hips side to side. So my rib cage stays here. Kick this left knee, hip out, right hip out. And I'm just really feeling this rock in my pelvis. And for some of us, that might feel like a stretch. Good, now let's go the other way. So we're going to go imprint or posterior tip, hip bones tip backwards, and then go the opposite way, bringing yourself into what we often call cow, if you're on all fours. So we're an anterior tip, arching that low back. Let's do it again. Tip this direction, so your hips scoop behind you. You're making the C shape, and then scoop the other way. Good, and then one more time, scoop and scoop. Good, now let's put those together, and here's the best visual. Well, I have two visuals. One, imagine that your pelvis is the top, and your tailbone is the very bottom of the top. You remember how I used to put a top on the floor and spin it around back in the olden days when they had little toys like jacks and tops? And so you're spinning that top around, and your tailbone is that little piece that's actually making connection with the floor. Although ours is not, but we're going to visualize that it is. We're going to move our hip bones like that top. So if that analogy doesn't work for you, did you ever hula hoop? It's basically the same as hula hooping. Imagine I've got that hoop around me, and I'm going to stir one direction and really try to scrape all sides there. So you're going to get deep all sides. And then when we've done a few this way, we go the opposite way. Your rib cage stays where it is, but the pelvis is swirling around. Yes. It's harder than it looks. You'll probably get tired of hearing me say that. 3 more. And 2. And 1. Good. Coming back. Let those sit bones ground back into the center. And we're going to go into some more ab work. So I'm going to turn to the side now on my mat and bring my body so that my hips are off of it and right underneath my bra line. My rib cage is staying connected. I'm also going to use my glutes, activate my glutes to push my hips upward. And then I'm going to use that little hand hammock that we talked about, letting my head just rest there. Now my ribs and hips are staying connected, and I'm pulling that transversus in, belly button to the backbone. So I tuck my chin, come on up into my curl here, and then bring it back down. And as you can see, I'm just working into this, what we call thoracic flexion here. So my spine is C-shaping this way, but I'm not dropping my hips. And I'm trying to get my shoulders up off of that ball. Belly button draws to the backbone. We got 4. And 3. 2. And last one. Good. Now go ahead and bring those ribs just right off of the ball, and you're just going to bounce on the ball. And as you allow that bounce, you're really pulling this direction, ribs to thighs, ribs to thighs. So just a little bit of bounce, and you can really feel that burn. Yes, let's go 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then if you feel comfortable, you can kind of back arch over it. I like to drop my hips and get a little bit of a lumbar curl there. And then curl back up, lift those hips, lift those glutes. We're going to take our right hand outside, the left elbow still stays holding the head. You're actively working to engage those glutes. You're keeping your midline on the ball. So if I took a marker, I drew a line right down the center of my body, I'm going to keep the center of my body on the ball as I go across towards my left side. So working those obliques. Good. Energy is going down my heels to try to keep my right hip from popping over to that right side. So it wants to go against the side that I'm going to with my hand. My hips do. So keep them down. Keep them down. Let's go 4 more. And 3. Deep abs are working. 2. And final 1. Good, let's go to the other side. So right hand goes behind my head, left arm drops in and down. Push those glutes up and crossing over with those obliques. So you can see better on this side how I'm trying to keep this hip down rather than just letting the ball move around. So my ball stays stable. How many of you are like, uh-oh, I better go back and do the other side now that I understand that? It's perfectly fine. Let's go 4. And 3. Excellent. 2 more. I'm working my right glute a lot too. And final 1. And then bring it back up. Hands can come back behind your head. And we reach down. Good. Okay, so the final thing we're going to do in this position as we come back, so the rib cage, actually let's come a little bit higher. Let's come so that the ball is down between your ribs and your top of your pant leg. Or sorry, top of your waist and your pants. Good, and we're going to plant those heels even into the mat. Good, now we're going to extend backwards and then come forwards, reaching those hands forwards. That's it, extend backwards, and then reach forwards. So my hips, you can see, are pretty level, and I'm really feeling this right at the bottom of my rib cage. As I hand feet backwards and reach, using my breath. Keeping my glutes turned on. Whenever our arms are extended like this, we've got a longer lever. So we go 4. If you're getting dizzy, you don't have to keep doing. Let's go 2. And final 1. Good, and then just a little bonus here. If you want to bring those arms straight up to the ceiling, you can do that little bounce again. Try to get your rib cage up off of that ball. Yep, protect that neck. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And bring it all the way back. Yes. Okay, guys, let's do a little bit more of this work in the C shape. So we're kind of sitting on our chair as if it was like a bean bag. Do you guys remember those days where you had your little bean bags? And then I'm going to stay to the side just so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going into this posterior tilt. So rolling my hip bones back and then sitting up straight. I'm rolling my hip bones back. This is where the curl is happening now, low, and then sitting up straight. And as I do that, I'm stacking my spine. So my hips are the first to stack, and then all the way up to the top of the head. Roll back, and then stack it up. You may feel some wiggles there where you notice tightness, but it's all about control when you're on that stability ball. So you want to do move slowly and controlled. They help you find those stabilizers. If your ball is wiggling all over the place, that's a cue to slow down and find those stabilizers. Shh. Good, and let's go 1 more here. And now we're going to go back into some oblique work. So I'm planted here. I'll go to the left side so you can see it first. Half roll back, and I'm going to take that arm out to the side and then bring it up. And then to the right side and bring it up. The whole time I'm trying to keep my body around the center of my mat so I'm not leaning like this over to the opposite side. So my heart stays centered the whole time. It's just my arm that's going out to the side. Good. If this is hard on your shoulder, you can just do an elbow bend. That longer lever of that straight arm makes it a little bit more challenging. If you're slipping on those feet, ground them down a little bit, pull them in a little bit more. Working into those obliques, you guys. Half roll back. It's all happening right here out of the pelvis. We go 4 more. And 3. Last 2. And final 1. And back to center. And then lengthening it all the way back up. So hopefully you got a little bit of burn there, right there, in those lower abs. Okay, we're going to work those obliques a little bit more. And so I'm going to come down off of my ball. and go to the side of it. So kneeling on one leg and taking the ball right into your hip as you lean into it. So you're hinging over. And we're going to take our arm that's closest to the ball, give it a hug so the armpit's right in the ball, and the top arm just reaches over as the bottom or top leg reaches out. So we're in this nice stretch here. Lateral flexion, fingertip to toe. Feels good, but it's gonna get a little more fun. So I'm gonna turn my knee up towards the ceiling, my elbow up to the ceiling. I'm gonna be really soft onto this hand, and I'm gonna pull my elbow and knee together. So what's happening here is I'm crunching right into that side of my waist, and then bring it back. So we crunch, and then our other goal is to keep that ball from rolling all over the place. It's just anchored down. Imagine that hip bone has anchored it down into the mat. We go 6 and 5. Feel that curl. Pull that bottom of your rib right to the top of your hip. 3. Last 2. And final 1. Good. Hold it here for a little mobility work. We're going to take that right foot back. Right arm stretches forward. So we have this big diagonal. Feels great. Now can you stabilize as you move this arm around? So we're just making a big circle out of this arm, trying to keep that right toe down and that left hip from bobbling all over the place. Go back the other way. A little bit more challenging than it looks. 2 and 1, and then bringing the arm and leg back to center. We do one final stretch. And then bring it back up. Now from here, I'm going to roll over on my belly. Don't worry, I won't forget the other side. I've done this a time or two. And we're going to come and kind of come to the apex of the ball, meaning the top dome part. You're going to get up on your toes here, pointing those toes down to the floor and the heels straight out to the wall behind you, and set your shoulders down into their back pockets. Start to activate those glutes, and once again, drop that anchor. This time it's coming from your belly button down and anchoring you to the floor. So pick the belly button up off the mat, and you can tell that I'm already lifting my hands up. So we're going to play with this a little bit. Shoulders are down and back, and I'm going to lift my right arm up and lower it without my ball moving side to side. Left arm up and lower. So the ball's planted no matter what my body does. Exhale, lift and lower. Exhale, lift. Remember, your feet are on the floor. And last time, left side, lift and lower. Good. Now, if you need to roll up just a little bit to get your chest off the ball, and so you can reach your hands a little bit better on the floor. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go in opposition. So I'm lifting my left leg and my right arm up. And then my belly button stays pointing straight down, anchoring me onto the floor. And trying not to get into a big low back arch here, so sometimes I have to work on that. Lower the arm, lower the leg. We go to the other side. So now I lift my left arm, lift my right arm, squeeze into that glute, and really balance on that ball. Crown of the head is reaching forward. And bring it back. Let's go one more time each side. Find yourself back into the center, reset, stabilize those shoulders, right arm, left leg. And lower back down. And one more time, left arm, right leg. Set those shoulders down and back. And lower it back down. Nice. You're really good for balance there. Okay, we're going to do just a little bit more core work. I'm going to start back here. And so I'm going to come onto the ball here. Hopefully I have enough room. I don't know. I might end up with my nose in that mirror here. But we're going to walk our body out on the ball. So you've got a nice runway wherever your mat is. Let your shoulders go down and back, and you're going to start to walk your hands out and try to keep your body from rolling from side to side. So it's just a straightforward walk. I'll tell you the key here is squeezing into those glutes and pulling up through your abs. Shoulders stay down and back, and then you start to walk backwards. So your body's stiff as a board as you use that core strength to keep you from rolling side to side. So take your time with this. Just do a few at your own pace. Remember, it's a secret weapon right there to hold those glutes and abs in. And just go as far as you feel comfortable. Some people are comfortable all the way to their ankles. Some people are only comfortable to their knees. It's okay. Challenge yourself just a little bit, but if this is the first time you've tried it, be gentle, be nice. And again, we're getting into those wrists, aren't we? Yes. Let's go one more. Do, 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 do. All in the glutes, girls, all in the glutes. Good. By the way, I noticed by looking at myself on videos that I kind of hyperextend at my elbows. I can't help that, but try not to do that. Okay, so the next move, this one looks like it's hard, but it's really not that bad. We're going to pull those elbows back. Once again, we're going to roll those hips onto the top of the ball, but this time you're going to pull up through your abs. Can you see how I'm pulling my hips up? The top of my hips are peeling up off the ball, and then I'm going to drag my knees right underneath me. Staying balanced and go back down. So I lift up at the top of my hips, hips up in the air, bring it back down. So a lot of ab work here, lifting up, a lot of glute work, and lowering. Let's go 6. Yes, and 5. I'm going to walk out a little further. You may have to adjust. Really pull those shoulders down. 4 and 3. 2. Final 1, and of course your ball doesn't zigzag, right? And we bring it all the way back, walking it back. I'll teach you a more advanced version of that at a later date. Woo. All right, girls. There's just a few more moves I want to do today, and we're going to get just a little bit of glute work and core work in. So I'm going to lay on my back this time, and I'm going to bring my ankles right up to the apex of the ball, so right up at the top of the ball. Extend that spine long. Your heels, again, are just going to be your contact point. And we're going to take our palms down to the floor. Now, if you want to put your palms straight down, that's fine too. Just try to keep your shoulders from peeling off this direction. You're going to push the shoulder blades down. And right here is the crease that we're looking at. We're going to get into a shoulder bridge here by raising up out of those hips and trying to keep this in one straight long line. And then as we come back down, we're not coming down into the back. We're coming down at this crease right here. So karate chop, right there. Ready? I'm going to do about 10. Here we go. Glutes are working. So abs first, pelvic floor, glutes, just like I taught you last time. Exhale up, inhale down. Exhale up, inhale down. Shh. Nice. Go at your own pace. Try to get those hips high, and of course the ball doesn't go side to side. It just stays right there in the center of your runway. Shh. That's it. We got 6 and 5. 4 more. Tapping the tailbone. 3. Sacral bone. 2. And final 1. Lower those hips back down. And then we're going to finish off with just a nice little stretch. So bring the heels into your hip bones. Yes, right to your sit bones. And then roll it back out. Good. And again, bring the heels in and roll it back out. That should feel nice on your low back. We're going to add some more ball work later in this week with some circuit work. So I can't wait. I hope you like it. Yes, this should feel nice. Okay, that's our workout for today. Thank you guys. Have a great day.